Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot, and it's time for April readings. So this month I've got the Unfolding Path Tarot, messages from your animal spirit guides for the Oracle, and the runes for a Modern Life rune deck. As always, this will be an intuitive general reading, so it's not quite as personal as a one-to-one reading. I'll give tons of options for how the messages might play out in your world, but take what resonates for you and leave what doesn't. I invite you to check out the readings for your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign. I'll have all of the signs broken out into chapters, time-stamped in the description box below. I will meet you in your sign. See you there. Hello, Aries. Let's grab your rune. Ooh, Fehu. Nice. And your animal spirit message. Oops. Oh, I guess it's going to be shark. Oh. Now let's grab your tarot. Oh, wow. Okay. So, Fehu, let's get that in focus, is the wealth rune. It's all about what you have acquired. It's like the stuff that you have, the stuff that you could sell, the stuff you have earned, the stuff you could show other people. Even if you don't think of yourself as like someone who's chasing wealth, this does indicate a time to be grateful for the prosperity that you have, and that can seed more prosperity. There's also the sense with this rune that it's a good season for new beginnings. So especially if you're interested in starting a new business venture or going after a new job, or going after a new position where you work, if that doesn't make sense in your world to pursue like a new 9-to-5 or a new role at a 9-to-5, it could also be something like exploring investments, something like that. Take it as it resonates in your life, obviously. But this does have to do with wealth, possessions, enhancing like your position, your stability, like that, right? And then we have shark. That's fun. Shark is trusting your instincts to discern the truth of a situation, right? The shark is very smart, instinctual. Sharks are known for being able to smell blood on the water from miles away, right? Or maybe it's that they can detect movement in the water from miles away, something along those lines. Like, they don't need like a lot of evidence to be able to suss out a situation to their advantage. So that's kind of like the thought process there. So trust your ability to discern what's going on. Now, let's talk about the tower, because this is a particularly hairy looking tower, right? I was watching one of my favorite tarot readers today, and the tower came up, and he pointed out that there is nothing in the tarot that is out to get us. Everything in the tarot is here to teach us something, right? So I am going to share that with you. I believe that entirely, and I don't think the tarot, or the tower rather, is a bad card. It's here to give us a heads up. And usually the tower comes up when there is something in our life that no longer fits, that no longer suits, and it is time for us to do something about it. And the only time the tower gets really hairy and dramatic is if we keep ignoring this thing that isn't working, that doesn't suit us, that is ill-fitting. It can be like a pair of pants that are too small. And if we keep wearing this pair of pants that are too small, if we insist on wearing a pair of pants that are too small, it's inevitably going to split and embarrass us, right? When we are out and about and wear this pair of pants that are too small and bust open. You know, at some point we just have to deal with the reality that we're wearing a size of pants that do not fit us. Or it can be like being walled up in a castle when we really want to be dating and going to fine restaurants and having a career or having children or whatever, and not walled up in a tower, right? This could actually be her big escape from being walled up. This could actually be her on her way to going bowling or going shopping or something. This could actually be a relief for her, even though it looks kind of dramatic. Instead of being walled up, she's about to have the time of her life. So, whatever it is, there's something in your life that does not fit you anymore. It could be a job. It could be a living situation. Yeah, it could be a relationship. It could be that it could be that the check engine light is on in your car and you just don't want to take it to the garage. But there's something in your life that needs attention, that isn't working, that maybe at one point in your life did work, like your car or your job or your relationship, and it needs attention. Maybe you just need to talk to your boyfriend about, we need to jazz things up in the bedroom, or I am not feeling that way about, whatever it is, you get what I'm saying, right? Or I can't work these hours anymore because I need more time with my kid, but I'm happy to work part-time in this department, or I'd like to move to a different department, whatever it is. It's time to have a conversation, or to take your car to the garage, or move out of that apartment, whatever it is. Okay, you get what I'm saying with that. Now, what's interesting is we have a card here that I call my interview card. It's like an audition card or a defend your thesis card. This is showing your worth, showing your stuff, showing your skills, interviewing, whatever. You're having your day in front of the board, or whatever it is, and then the messages come in, the opportunities come in, the job offer comes in, the negotiating for the position comes in, whatever it is. These are all the messages, or the back and forth, whatever, the opportunities. So maybe you audition for that music school that you want to be in, and or a series of schools, or have the interviews, and then these are the offers. Whatever it is, it looks like you're worn out after all of the interviews. The Four of Swords is a little timeout card. I need a little nap. I need a spa day, need a little rest, right? So whatever you decided to change, whether it was your major or your job, or you need to interview new roommates, you have the interviews or the conversations or whatever it is, the messages, opportunities. The Eight of Wands is the sort of conversations following the interviews, right? And then you have to have a little nap and restore your energy after all of the action and conversations around the change happens. So, wow, what an action-packed month. But there is the capacity for new beginnings around your wealth, an entrepreneurial endeavor, a creative endeavor, a new job, something like that, investments, something like that, making a change in an important area of your life where something has gone stale or is no longer fitting, and you don't want to get stuck on the highway with the check engine light going off, or, you know, in the office with a split pair of pants, right? So you have the interviews, you defend your thesis, you change your major, whatever it is, have the negotiations. We understand each other. And then, of course, the shark is about trusting your instincts to understand the truth of the situation. You know what you need to do. Okay, Aries, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this is helpful. Until next time, please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. Hello, Taurus. Let's get your rune. Tarotscopes. Okay. And your animal spirit guide oracle card. Ooh, zebra. Okay, and your tarot. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so starting with your rune, Tarotscopes is the rune of protection. So that is like a little thorn, like the thorn on a rose bush. So it warns of, like, just like when you get, how you can get like a little prick when you're dealing with roses. You have to be really careful when dealing with roses, but that doesn't stop us from handling roses, right? Because they're beautiful. We just have to slow down and be careful. Sometimes we wear protective gloves when we're like pruning or doing flower arrangements with roses or what have you. It's just a little heads up to protect yourself. And we'll see when we get into the tarot, there's a similar message with the tarot. Oh, and this candle just went out, so that's just like another little heads up. So there might be something this month that advises you to protect yourself in some way. For some of you, this could be a health thing, like maybe wearing a mask at work, or if you go to a big event where you see other people, even if you don't love the mask thing, it might be a good way to protect yourself from getting a sickness or something like that. It could be about protective gloves or other forms of protection if you meet somebody new, and there are forms of protection when you're dealing with people in all sorts of ways, right? But there could be other forms of protection that aren't just about your health. There could be ways to protect your mental health in terms of dealing with toxic people. Maybe there's someone in your life that you need to spend less time with, or maybe it's time to cut somebody in particular out of your life. That's a decision for you to make. That's not necessarily in the tarot right here, but there might be someone out there that definition fits. Take it as it applies in your world. There's just a message of caution. Typically when this rune comes up, it's a note to slow down and take care when dealing with sort of toxic environments, or there could be a potential for toxic environments. So don't be reckless or cavalier or too stoic about yourself, and do take care to protect yourself. Okay, I've said enough about that. You get it, right? But over here we have Zebra. Let go of your fear and know that you are safe and protected at all times. Wow, what a contradictory message from the other one, right? So the idea here is you may be moving into uncharted territory in April, but that doesn't mean, let's see, how shall I put it? This isn't a suggestion to stop or to turn back or to not try something new or to not be with somebody new. Just to know that, with protection or with your own sort of innate intelligence to protect yourself and take, reasonable precautions, it's time for advancement and to move forward into that next level, because we see here that there is advancement coming for you in April. Okay, so you are protected. There is magic and advancement in April, but it is also reasonable to take precautions in certain situations where you may be, oops, there goes my plant. It is reasonable to take precautions in certain situations where there may be toxic people or toxic, hazards, right? All right. So with that said, the Nine of Wands is the card of feeling, the effects of having put a lot of effort towards something and being tired as you're being so close to the finish line, wondering if you're ever going to actually get there to the finish line. There are reasons with the Nine of Wands to take, again, protective measures. This is the card of putting up boundaries, saying no to some projects while you put, your efforts only on your most important projects, prioritizing that which is most important, and maybe tabling some other stuff to later in the summer perhaps, or being okay with saying no to some folks, even if you would like to do everything that everybody asks of you. It might not be realistic at this time, especially if you've been dealing with some health consequences or something along those lines. You could be experiencing or healing from a health situation, so protect your health if that applies to you. So the Nine of Wands is really about being realistic, protecting your health, setting boundaries where appropriate so you can prioritize the most important projects and finalize those as you reach the next level in those important projects. Because we have the Chariot, which is kind of that next level, that victory, that up leveling. There's something in your life, whether it's a career, some sort of ambition, a special project, maybe you're planning your wedding, something gets an up level, something gets a next level. And because of that, because there's a green light in some very important area of your life, you just won't be able to do everything else. So focus on that one. It's a creative project, or your job, at your job, you're launching something. Take it as it resonates for you. There's something very important that requires, focus, for your own health. You have to set some boundaries, whatever it is. But you're going to be very excited to be able to follow this dream, to put all your focus on this particular effort, and it's going to feel like a real win. There may be a King of Wands type, a charming boss man, doesn't have to be a man actually, a charming leader who has a job offer, or maybe an offer to collaborate, or a connection, or maybe even funding. It might be a creative project, a creative connection for you, a leadership role to offer you, something along those lines that helps take this to the next level, or is a part of this up leveling for you. And it looks like there's a real celebration by the end of the month. The Three of Cups is traditionally a sort of a party card where you get to hang out with your friends and celebrate a win, a victory. You get to socialize and share all the good news. So even though you don't have to be afraid of this up leveling, there are a couple of messages here about protecting yourself to ensure that you kind of reach a next level goal. So do what you need to do to set realistic boundaries in order to achieve this sort of next level project, or this sort of next level career goal, whatever it is, and you will be celebrating the end of the month. I hope that is helpful for you. I hope that is good news for you. Taurus, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next month, take very good care. Bye for now. Hi, Gemini. Let's grab a rune for you. Isa. Okay. And your message from your animal spirit guide. Cheetah. That's a super cool one. Okay, your tarot. Okay. Oh, wow. I am officially jealous. I am officially so super jealous. Okay. Wow. Okay, so starting with your rune, this is interesting because the rune seems a little different from the rest of your reading. Isa is actually the ice rune. It's about when things are still and quiet. It's like in the winter, if you've ever seen a frozen lake, and you know everything under the lake is like in hibernation, all the fish, all of the aquatic plant life, everything is hibernating under there. Although it will come to life again in the spring and summer and like that. In the winter, there's no life under, it seems like there's no life under the ice. And it speaks to a time when it's just about being still, about being restful, being meditative, being in reflection, and sort of planning the next move. That's what we always recommend when this rune comes up. It's typically not a time for action. It's a time for meditating. It's a time for taking stock. It's a time for rest, hibernation even, and being ready, resting up, healing, and then maybe starting to plan for the next season when you'll actually be able to plant seeds and then take action. But the rest of your reading is all about action and manifestation and even hopeful harvest. So it could be that we are just on the precipice of moving out from this still phase, and or even a chock-a-block in this modern interpretation, this artist's modern interpretation, instead of being a frozen lake that the Norse would have recognized. Let's see if we can get this. The modern interpretation is like being stuck in traffic. This is the rest of your reading is like the light is green. The cheetah is like the green light, right? Get clear on your intention, stay focused, and move quickly to achieve your goal. So here's where you get your green light. Okay? So this is all about forward movement, focus, speed, right? Cheetah is the fastest mammal, right? So these are contradictory sort of oracle cards here. So between these two, we have the tarot. So your light in April goes from red to green, and here we have it. Your main message is the Two of Cups, which is all about making connections. So, of course, the obvious connotation is romantic connections. It doesn't have to be. It can be connections in every area of your life. It can be platonic, business, romantic, and every level of romantic, right? You could be at beginning meeting a new person and those butterflies and exciting new feelings. It can be taking an established relationship to the next level. It can be rekindling an established relationship that might have gotten a little stale, whatever. But the Two of Cups speaks to honoring connections and really forging bonds, being able to connect with another person or persons, and being able to sort of read somebody else, read their mind, read their heart, be messy with them and allow them to be messy with you. In business collaborations, it's like really being able to trust that your business partner has your back, that you speak the same language, that you have the same goals, that you make decisions together for the good of the business, right? Not for one person's ego or just one person's bank account. Like they're making smart decisions together for the good of the business. In artistic collaborations, that you're making artistic choices together, that, you know, whether it's music or improv or whatever it is, that you have shared goals and that you're growing together as artists. You see what I'm saying with that? So it suggests that wherever you're looking to make connections, or wherever you're building bonds, you've got a special magic, or you've got a special energy, or those sorts of bonds have support. You'll see real growth there in April. Now, the Seven of Wands is my audition card. It's like an interview card. So if you're looking to audition for that improv group or interview for a job or something, you've got real mojo, charisma, magic. All you've got to do is show up and show up with confidence. You know, bring a crisp resume, or however we're doing it these days. You know, this is the show up in person with your charm and your personality, right? This is kind of the behind the scenes part, where with your magician manifester ability, believing in the benevolent universe. The magician is, of course, the manifester of the tarot, and aside from the doing the legwork and showing up, the magician has the other sort of universal draw. He does the mystical part, right? And then we have the star, which indicates the win. Whatever it is that you're auditioning for, interviewing for, or that first date, take it as it resonates for you, Gemini. But showing up with your charm, doing the manifesting meditation. We see you end the month with a real win. With the star, being the superstar that you are. So the light turns green, you take off like a cheetah, and you create those bonds, cement those bonds by showing up in all the ways you can show up. It's a real successful month. I am so jealous. It looks like a real winning month for you, Gemini. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you love it. Until next month, please take good care. Bye for now. Hello, Cancer. Let's grab your rune. Manaz. Okay. And your message from your animal spirit guide. Blue heron. That's cool. Okay, your tarot. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Whoa. Cancer. This is kind of huge. Okay, so starting with your rune card, Menaz, it's super interesting because Menaz is it's about humanity. It's kind of about who you are in relation to your community. There's a piece here about the self and in relation to community. The importance of knowing yourself and knowing your place in community, having strong community, but also having strong boundaries. So feeling attached to a community, but also feeling a strong sense of self here. We also see that echoed in your tarot and in your message here from your animal spirit guide. The blue heron here, the message written on the card is make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And sort of the themes associated with blue heron are about autonomy and dignity, self-determination, balance, uniqueness, boundaries, like with Menaz, deliberateness, dignity, like self-dignity, self-reliance, and we see those all here in the tarot too. So remember these themes: dignity, self-reliance, autonomy, boundaries, that kind of unique sense of self, making a stand for what you believe in and doing what feels right for you within your community, within your life. But there's, while maintaining your commitment to your community, your commitment to your relationships, your commitment to right relationships, and your job, if that applies to you, or your other obligations, your family, and so on. So let's take a look at the tarot here, because we see some really important shifts, some really significant shifts that are happening that you're going to be excited for, but that, again, will require these commitments to yourself, commitments to your sort of sense of dignity, your commitment to drawing important boundaries out of love for yourself and for your commitments, your commitment to your community, right? The main theme here is the Empress. And the Empress is like the mama creator of the tarot. She brings forth creations, projects, special visions into the world, creations that only she could bring into the world. Doesn't have to be a she, so it's not gender specific, but she has this sort of nurturing energy that allows the sort of birthing of a project or a person, but usually it's a project or an event, or it indicates that you're working on bringing forth something that only you could bring forth. It could be your career, it could be your family, something to do with your family, it could be an event, but something very important you're bringing forth into this world. You're sort of gestating it and you're bringing it forth in April. Now, the fact that the High Priestess shows up indicates that there's some part of it that is still yet to be revealed. So there can be some part of this that you haven't yet shared with your community, with your world. You may need to, this could be the boundary piece that, I spoke of. You don't need to share everything about it just yet. That's coming later. There could be a piece that you have that you're keeping secret, that isn't for everyone to know. It could be the sort of thing like, if you're working on a writing project, this won't be true for everybody, but if you're working on a writing project, it just isn't ready yet for all eyes. And sometimes when you're working on a creative project, it's better for the project, it's better for your own sanity if you work on it, in the privacy of your own, like, creative she shed, or man cave, or wherever you do your creative project or whatever. Or there could be some element of it that will never be for the public. But the fact that the High Priestess is here indicates that there's some part of it that could still use editing, or that is secretive in some way, that is not yet ready for sharing. It could be high level, whatever it is, take it as it resonates for you. But some part of it needs boundaries, or needs, it's not for all eyes yet. It may never be, or it might not. It might just, as of yet, not be ready for public consumption. Now, we do see, maybe around mid-month, the Eight of Wands comes up, and that means messages are flowing. You could get some news, you could get an invitation, and ask for a collaboration, an invitation for a job interview, an audition, something along those lines. And so you're going to want to make sure you're tuned into your phone, your email, DMs, because it's an invitation you're going to want. Maybe even an interview online, or with a radio news station, something like that. Could be really exciting. You take it as it resonates for you. And then we have a big shift here, and of course the Death card. Anyone who's been a fan of the tarot for anything more than 5 minutes knows this doesn't speak to literal death. This is about transformation, right? So there's some part of your life that is transforming. It can be like when you go from just being a single person in the world to being a mother, or a husband, or going from being a student to a graduate, or something along those lines. Or when you go from being a burger flipper to night manager, right? It could be in your career arena. It could be in your family life. You could go from working to being retired. It could happen in, it could finally be when your sister moves out of your room and now you have your room all to yourself. It could happen in a number of different ways, right? Take it as it applies to you, but there's something in your life that is transforming, and then now sort of your role in the world shifts, and just kind of how you move through the world then has to shift. So that makes boundaries even more important. How you define yourself, how you describe yourself if you have a job interview shifts. So do what is right for you. Make the changes that are right for you as these shifts happen. Be true to yourself, be true to your projects, be true to your sort of dignity, while still honoring your commitments and your obligations. This is kind of a beautiful transition, a beautiful transformation as you're giving birth to this sort of new phase, this new cycle, and things begin to really change for you. Cancer, I'm going to leave it there for you, but I hope this has been helpful. Until next month, take very good care. Bye for now. Hello, Leo. Let's grab your rune. Ooh, not these. Okay. And your message from your animal spirit. Wolverine. Well, these two oracle cards are very much in tandem. Let's see what the tarot has to say for you for April. Oof. Well, that's so interesting. We've got kind of slightly different stories happening between your oracle cards and your tarot. That's so interesting. Okay. So, like I said, your oracle cards are in sync. Nafis is the card of, or the rune, I should say, of need. This rune often comes up when there's been a bit of a challenge. Sometimes when the thing I love about runes is that they're so earthy, right? You really feel like our Norse sort of cousins in these runes. They're very much about tornadoes and ice and wind. Like, you really feel the elements and the rustic nature in this system. And with Nafis, it's about some sort of challenge, like some sort of weather disaster that causes, I should say, in the traditional reading of these runes, it would be a weather disaster that caused like a delay in food delivery or something like that. In these modern times, you see this artist's depiction indicates like a boat capsizes, and that's the disaster in this particular situation. Now, the way I always experience this rune is when there's some sort of challenge in my life that calls for creativity. So I've never actually experienced like a tornado that I have to withstand, or when this card comes up. The way I experience it is like the garbage truck might block sort of the exit to my street. That is the quicker way for me to get to work. So I have to exit the end of my street out of my neighborhood. That means I have to sort of double around another side that is the longer way around out of my neighborhood, that ends up making me late for work. So it's an annoying delay that I didn't count on, that I couldn't have predicted, that I kind of had to come up with a little creative solution. And I'm still late for work anyway. Not a catastrophe. It's not the end of my world. And for me, it ruins my morning, but like, my day job isn't going to fire me for that transgression, luckily. But it's an annoyance. That's how this card shows up for me. in that sort of a way. So what we're looking at with this rune is delays, challenges, annoyances that are out of your control, caused by other people, caused by weather, caused by rising prices, that force you to have to make a change, turn around. It affects your routine, unfortunately. And it may mean that you have to make some creative decisions, creative alterations, budgeting decisions because of it, depending on in what phase of life it hits you. It could be the sort of thing where the grocery store with the best prices closes down, or you could have some car troubles or some issues with a reliable babysitter or something. It's usually some combination of a delay or budgetary sort of issues that require you to be a little bit creative to overcome an issue or a timing kind of a thing. But a lot of times when you deal with the issue that it brings up, you come up with a better way to do something. Sometimes when there is a change in your routine, you actually find a better way. When you break out of your routine, you actually find a better way to do your routine. Now, the Wolverine actually suggests you're a lot tougher than you think you are. And so there's this element with the Wolverine card that is talking about strategy, sort of sneakiness, definitely stick-to-itiveness. There are, in both of these cards, themes of persistence, perseverance, adaptability, being ferocious, sticking to it. Now, what I've seen in a couple of the other readings so far this month is that sometimes the oracle cards seem to suggest the before, when the tarot suggested, and then this happened. So maybe that's what we're seeing with you, Leo, and that's what I'm hoping here. Because there's definitely this piece about overcoming, being ferocious, being persistent. You're a lot tougher than you think you are, working through these challenges, because what we have in the tarot is really sort of an up-leveling. We actually saw this with, was it Cancer? And I think we saw this with Taurus as well. There's definitely wins coming here and good news coming in April. So with the Lovers being your main theme here, this is connections, this can be contracts, and obviously the Lovers seems like romantic, right? But it doesn't have to be. This can also be contracts in terms of your business contracts or artistic collaborations, growing together with your platonic friends, with your platonic relationships. The Lovers has to do with the commitments you make. So if you're putting energy into commitments, you're going to see that supported with successes. So if you've been working on, your career, you're likely to reach a new level, a new role could be offered. We see the Star and the Page. I'll take these one at a time. So the Star obviously can indicate success, advancement, and in an area that inspires you, in a role that you had been hoping for, right? The star is the card of your wishes, your dreams, like a dream role could come through. A page of cups is very often good news in an area that feeds your soul, that feeds your heart, something that you had been hoping to come through, something that gives you joy, something that makes you feel connected to other people. This could also be in terms of your dating or romantic life. You could, if you're on those dating apps, that could be a message comes through and an invitation to date. It could be in an established relationship, taking it to the next level, something along those lines, an up-leveling in your relationship arena. But this could also be in terms of business or artistic collaborations, an inquiry to collaborate or connect, or again, a contract comes through in terms of your artistic life. If you're an artist, an actor, a musician, a gig worker of some kind, a creative gig worker. And we also have the Seven of Wands, which is my interview card, my audition card. So aside from a very likely gig coming through, an invitation to collaborate, we have more auditions or interviews. So there's, Leo, so many signs here that you are wanted, multiple requests or interviews or dates or invitations to collaborate or auditions, or however that applies in your world, Leo. You are very much wanted, sought out. So keep your phone charged, keep checking your DMs, keep checking your email. And if this does not speak to a past scenario when you have worked through your challenges, when you've been perseverant, when you have persevered, there may be that it's so much in terms of messages and so much activity and so many interviews or auditions or however it applies in your world. It just could be a lot of activity for you this month. Maybe it's a lot of dates and a lot of work-wise, that you have to be creative with your calendar, or really stay on top of your messages. You're a lot tougher than you think you are. A lot tougher than you think you are. So I'm going to leave it there, Leo. You are going to definitely be a social butterfly or a creative butterfly. Definitely very popular. So there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next month, take very good care. Bye for now. Hi, Virgo. Let's get your rune. Vircana. Okay. And the message from your animal spirit guide. Oh, Hawaiian owl. That one's super cool. All right, let's get your tarot. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So this card is so much like your animal oracle. All right. So starting with the rune, Berkana is like the birth rune. It's like about nurturing a new beginning. So if you've just started something new, this, supports you in that new endeavor. If you haven't yet, or if you've been thinking about starting something new, or launching something new, or going for a new job or a new role at your job, or if you've been thinking about maybe switching majors, if you're a student, something like that. All of these things are kind of supported, this sort of nurturing something new, going for something new, supporting change. It's not so much about taking a risk or taking a chance. It's about, giving birth to something that's already inside you. So there's something inside of you that really needs to sort of come out, or needs to be expressed, or needs to be honored, right? So like that feeling that you've gone as far as you can go in your job, or that feeling that you're not in the right major, or that your living situation is just too cramped, or it's too big, or whatever it is, just honoring that thing in you that needs to be fully expressed or properly expressed. So take that as it resonates for you. And sometimes that can mean reaching out to a maternal figure. Maybe that's your mom. But if you don't have a good relationship with your mom, that could be a sister or an auntie or a mentor or a neighbor that feels like a mom, something like that. Or just, being a good mom to yourself. Sometimes that's how that shows up too. But yeah, definitely nurturing new beginnings is what this rune is all about. Okay, I've spoken about that long enough. And sort of relatedly, the Hawaiian owl is related to our ancestors, and sort of the messages we feel, or the guidance we feel from our ancestors. So the message on the card is actually your ancestral spirit guides are offering you guidance now, so pay close attention to signs and omens from them. And, it could be that your mom is in spirit, so there could be something that's associated with your mom that could come through that feels like support or guidance or a message. My sister passed away a couple years ago, and one of the things she said, that when she was asked, if she would come to us, she suggested she would show up as a dragonfly. So anytime I see anything dragonfly, whether it's a real dragonfly or it's like a dragonfly embroidered on somebody's purse or something like that, to me is always a message from my sister. Before my sister passed away, we always used to talk about sometimes when we would experience my Nana, who passed away. My grandma used to wear this really particular fragrance, and every now and again we would smell that fragrance and experience like that as her visitation, right? And just kind of experience that as her sort of saying hi, or giving us a little love tap. You can experience a scent, or a particular animal, or something like that as love, or a hello, or as protection, or as wisdom, maybe a message. Take that as it might resonate for you, but just know that guidance or a hello might be coming through in some way from an ancestor or a loved one. So take that if it's helpful to you. Now, looking at your tarot, this is really lovely because your main theme here is sort of the family and sort of ancestral card here. The Ten of Pentacles is all about the sort of inheritance card here. This is all about the family legacy card. So when this comes up, we're talking about legacies. This can be about your personal legacy. You could be dealing with your own thoughts about your legacy and what you're leaving, your career path and where it's leading, or where it has led, or where it could lead. You could be thinking about things like that. You could be helping an older relative as they're closing out sort of their career life and maybe going into sort of a care home, or maybe helping them with taxes, or maybe you're taking over for a family business. Sometimes this card comes up to indicate that. It could be a time, this can show up in so many different ways for different people, Virgo, so take it as it resonates for you. This can show up when there's themes of, a family reunion is being planned, or a family wedding is being planned. Maybe there's a family will that's being discussed. Maybe you're about to inherit an item. I inherited a car from my uncle when I was old enough to start driving. I inherited a car from my grandfather's brother. It was a terrible car, but boy, was I happy to have it. But I was happy to have a car. Could be something as like that, or it could be something really significant, like a piece of property or funds. It could just be that it's we're coming up on tax time in the U.S. and you could be figuring out some taxes and legacies in that way. So take that as it resonates for you. But a lot of times when this comes up, it indicates a time when you're thinking of yourself in relationship to your family and legacies. And some of the cards that are going around this legacy and ancestor piece are contributing to, although we have this feeling of security over here and how to support more security or a greater sense of legacy, contributing more to the family legacy. But there is this card here, this Four of Pentacles, that suggests maybe you don't feel like you're contributing enough, or you don't have enough, or you haven't contributed enough yet, or you haven't yet hit the career trajectory. In some way, the Four of Pentacles suggests a feeling of personal insecurity, like you're not enough. And this doesn't necessarily just have to be speaking about career. It sometimes comes up around personal relationships too. Sometimes when you meet somebody new, you can be concerned that you're not enough for somebody really terrific, somebody you might be crushing on. So take this as it resonates for you. It could be something along those lines. But the Four of Pentacles suggests you are enough and you have enough. You're actually withholding some of the best parts of you. You're actually kind of holding back. And the Four of Pentacles suggests that you could actually be more open and more vulnerable with some of your situations, either your career or your relationships, and share more generously your talents or your skills or your emotions, as the case may be, and see more rewards, either interpersonally or with your career. The Five of Swords suggests there may be some miscommunication that leads to a little bit of chaos mid-month. So be sure to read the fine print, read your communications. If you're like in a dating situation, make sure you fully read the whole email between you and your crush, or if it's a job interview or a work email, make sure you read the email all the way through, because the Five of Swords indicates that miscommunication can happen when you aren't reading the whole reading for comprehension. A lot of times chaos can happen just because of an assumption, and or this is the sort of reply all chaos that can happen, right? When you, instead of just replying to one person, when you send a personal reply to like everybody in the chain by mistake. So there might be some kind of communication snafu mid-month that you have to clean up. But later, by the end of the month, it looks like there's some sort of communication that comes in that's kind of exciting. Maybe an interview or a new contract, or in some way there's an email that has some good news for you that you're looking forward to, maybe even a tax refund or something like that, but something that you'll get to respond to or take action on that is very exciting and positive. So be sure to be checking your email and reading that one all the way through too. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Virgo. Again, supporting new beginnings, looking for messages from ancestors, reading emails all the way through, and do be sure to share yourself, because you have an awful lot to offer. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, take very good care. Bye for now. Hi Libra, let's grab your rune. Thurizaz. Okay, and your animal spirit message. Elk. Okay, and your tarot. Okay. Ooh. Wow. So you're like the fourth sign that's gotten the Seven of Wands. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so Thurizaz is like the thorn on a rose or a rose bush, right? And when we handle roses, some folks will actually wear gloves. We don't avoid roses just because they have thorns, right? We still love roses, but we protect ourselves. We might go slower, we might wear gloves, but we still enjoy roses. So the message with Thurizaz is to protect yourself. Maybe go slow, maybe wear protective equipment. And so it depends on what your situation is, Libra. Maybe you're in a situation where you need to wear a mask, especially if you work around a lot of people. Maybe you want to consider wearing a mask at some points in April. Or if you go to like a big party or something, Maybe that makes sense. Or there's other places where socially it makes sense to wear some sort of protective paraphernalia. Or it could be the kind of situation where the toxicity is mental or emotional, and maybe you need to consider setting boundaries with other people, or boundaries on your time, or boundaries on the projects that you take on. So protect yourself as it makes sense in your world, right? Now, we have a sort of corollary message over here with the elk. The elk is about standing tall and standing strong. And the message on the card is stand tall and maintain your dignity no matter what, and others will treat you with the respect that you deserve. So there's a piece here about walking with confidence, right? About not shrinking, not being a shrinking violet, but just no matter the circumstances, have pride in yourself. Walk with confidence, like walk with physical confidence. Take up physical space. Don't be afraid to take up physical space, and enter a room with like physical charisma on display. And we can see kind of the call for that physical dignity and that physical presence in your tarot. So your main theme here is justice. I often see the justice card come up for me in contracts. So like when I get a new job, I have a survival job, but I'm also an artist, completely outside of the tarot. This I just do as an act of love. But outside of this, I'm an actor, and so sometimes I get acting work. And when this comes up when the justice card comes up for me, it usually comes up for me when I'm when I'm getting a role, or when I get offered a new contract in either my survival job or in my gig work. And with justice, there's often a call to ensure that you are getting what you think you're getting in exchange for what you are offering. So read the fine print, get it in writing. In any exchange where you are making a commitment to someone else, make sure that you are committing to terms that your partner, or the other person you are in this contract with understands. So whether it's a rental or a job, or you're buying a food truck, make sure you're getting what you think you're getting for what you're exchanging. Make sure you get what is due you. Renegotiate if you have to. Have someone who understands contracts better than you do look it over if you feel insecure about, understanding the fine print, There's this piece about stand tall and be confident about negotiating for what's rightfully yours. Or, this can also come up in terms of mediation, about going to court if you need to ask for child support, alimony, that sort of thing. Getting what is fair and right for you. So there is that piece. We have a King of Wands here. This could be your mediator, your litigator, someone who goes to bat for you. This could be a boss, a potential new boss. This could be an agent with an audition for you or a job for you. We see, this is my audition card, right? Or an interview card. So you could have an audition or an interview, a job interview, or somebody could want to interview you for a news station, or this could be you defending your thesis, something like that. So we see the Three of Wands here, which is an expansion card. Your world expands. So there's very much this feeling of you getting something that is fair or right, or something that is due you, whether it's a job or child support, or that food truck that's going to let you bring your business to new customers, right? And there's an advocate here, maybe a mentor, a boss, an agent who has a connection or a job or an audition for you. Here's that interview, that audition, or in some way you have to present your case to someone who will be very much swayed by your skills or talent or story, because you stand tall, right? And your world expands by the end of the month. So Libra, this is a very exciting month of expansion, even though you may have to take some precautions, and might have to remind yourself to take up space. When you stand up for yourself, justice will come for you and your world expands. I'm going to leave it there. Congratulations. Until next month, please take very good care. Bye for now. Hello, Scorpio. Let's grab your rune. Ooh, Ingwas. Okay, and your animal spirit message. Blue heron, I love this one. Okay, let's do your tarot. Okay. Hierophant. Strength. Queen of Wands. Justice. Wow. That's very powerful. These are very powerful. These are all very powerful. All right. So I always struggle with Ingwas because how do I say it delicately? It's not a delicate. It's not a delicate. So it refers to, oh gosh, this is the hardest one for me. So it refers to a very potent, I don't want to offend anyone, that's why I struggle with it. And I know that the audience can be mixed. But it refers to a moment of pleasure, a moment of intimate pleasure. Let's put it that way. And the actual rune itself is based on a very specific part of the female anatomy. So it really reflects most specifically a female moment of intimate pleasure. So with that in mind, yay for April. And I truly don't want to offend anyone who is not inclined that way, but it can speak to a release, a culmination, a completion, a reward, but I think the best way to understand it is a sort of a release, right? After a building of momentum, having a relief. There's also a good way to think of it if you've ever been in an electrical storm. I grew up in Minnesota, and we had wonderful electrical storms in the summer where there would be a week or two where the temperatures would get really high and it would get really muggy. It would be like a wet, moist heat, and it would be really uncomfortable when it would be hot and moist, and really uncomfortable for a couple of weeks. And then the clouds would start to take over, and you would feel the shift into an electrical storm. And all of a sudden, it would start raining, and there would be a sudden drop in temperature from like 90 degrees Fahrenheit to, a drop of like 15, 20, a sudden drop in temperature, and it would suddenly start raining and thundering and lightning, and it was just a magical time. That the sky changed color, and it was literally electric. You could like feel the thunderstorm come in, and there was such a relief when the clouds opened up and it started raining. That's the same kind of feeling when there's just the relief from the humidity and the heat, and even though it's raining, you feel such a relief. There's also that kind of feeling with this card. April will bring some kind of a relief to you, is what I'm saying, in that same physical way, even if it's like a career milestone or news of a friend coming for a visit, or in something that seems unrelated will bring a physical relief to you in some way, or a tax return maybe, or something. We have in your general theme for April is justice. So you get some kind of news. Maybe it's a job contract. Maybe it's news of a rental decrease. Some kind of news that something turns in your favor, and it feels like such a relief. You feel it in your bones. Now, before I move on to the rest of your tarot, let's just talk about Blue Heron for a second, because this is also related to justice. Make a stand for what you believe in, and do what feels right in spite of judgment or disapproval from others. Blue Heron is associated with autonomy and resolve, uniqueness, independence, setting necessary boundaries, exploration, self-reliance, dignity, and deliverance. So even though we talked about this kind of sense of intimate release, what we're ultimately talking about here is doing something for yourself in your life that brings you a sort of independence, dignity, right? So the relief that you're experiencing is not necessarily about that sort of intimate partnership kind of thing. Ultimately, what we're talking about is justice for yourself in terms of dignity and independence and self-reliance. Okay, so for whatever that means, however that is working in your life right now, that's what this relief is about. It's about making some kind of stand or taking some kind of steps or making some kind of choices for that and some sort of justice. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the courts, but some kind of turn of the wheel, some kind of justice is turned in your favor, where you get to see that that justice, that rightness, that dignity, that balance returned in your favor. Now, along with that, to go along with that, to support that, we have the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a revealer of truths. He has some kind of knowledge. It's usually some kind of traditional knowledge. He is an expert in something. So if you need something done around the house, if you need something handled or fixed or done, seek a professional, please. That's what the Hierophant is all about. It doesn't have to be a he, but this particular card suggests take it to a professional, have someone knowledgeable handle it. This is not the time for necessarily slap it together, do it yourself fixes. There's probably something that needs to be handled that a professional can do, or you can learn to do it from a professional, or go back to school and get your license to do it, or whatever it is. This is about experts and knowledge and education, and it could even be sort of the belt system, karate, taekwondo, learning something from an established, expert. And then we have the Strength card, which is very similarly sort of aligned with the blue heron theme of dignity and self-reliance and dependence or independence, trusting in yourself, being confident. There is with the Strength card, interestingly enough, in its earliest sort of incarnation, this sort of balance between purity and trust, right? There's always, in the traditional depictions of this card, there's like a maiden with a beast, right? With the lion. And they trust each other. There's this sort of mastery where the maiden has mastered sort of the animalistic nature. So there's a piece of this card that speaks to overcoming your animalistic side or your animal nature, right? So the way I always think about this is like standing up for yourself without being a Karen, right? Where you can take sort of the pride and the confidence and the regalness from the lion, but you don't take the roar, right? You don't have to be a jerk about it. You can stand in your confidence, and you can stand in your regalness without being an animal. Okay, and then finally we have the Queen of Wands. Now this is very likely to be someone in your life who has something to offer you. And the Queen of Wands is typically a creative. She could be like a theater director, or a singer, or a boss, the boss that you like. She has charm, she has imagination, she is magnetic, she's funny, but she is good at leading people, and she might have a job for you or a connection, likely in a creative field. She could also be athletic. So take that as it resonates for you, but she could have a piece of advice or a job or a connection or something like that to offer you. Scorpio, this is super intense and cool. So something happens to turn a project or a job, a creative endeavor around. Something turns in your favor. The balance is returned, is restored in your life. It feels like a terrific relief. Do seek a professional for those issues around the house, or for those matters, like if you need to drop a contract, or if you need to seek repairs or whatever it is, this, or go back to school. This is very much about seeking a professional and doing it traditionally in the right way. This is walking in confidence, standing up for yourself and for your tribe. And this is a queen boss lady who is fun but has a job or a connection for you. And of course the blue heron is about making a stand for what you believe in, no matter what anybody else thinks. Scorpio, April looks really powerful. I hope you love it. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me this month. Until next time, please take care of yourself. Bye for now. Hello, Sagittarius. Let's grab your rune first. Manaz. Okay. And your animal spirit oracle card. Peacock. That one's almost self-explanatory, right? Let's grab your tarot. Oh. Wow, okay. Oh. Sagittarius. Wow. Okay. So, starting with your rune, Manaz is the rune of humanity, but it's kind of that, what do you call it, like a flexion point? It's kind of between the self and community, right? So it's dealing with themes of yourself within your community. So being aware of being a part of a community, having obligations to your job, your friendships, relationships, but also having obligations to yourself. So where you set those boundaries, how you make time for the career, if you're still on the career path, how you make time for relationships, how you make time for yourself and taking care of yourself, right? Who you are in all of those worlds, and in all of those worlds where you exist. How you present yourself, share yourself, define yourself, and how you set boundaries. So just as important as sharing yourself in your communities, in your relationships, is setting boundaries, setting definitions, right? So in April, this rune is suggesting that setting boundaries and definitions as you enjoy community and relationships are going to be major themes. And the other oracle card we have here is Peacock, which is about being noticed, which is about sharing yourself. And it's, not about being afraid to be vulnerable. It's about putting yourself sort of on display, if you will, like being out there. So if you've been a hermit over the winter, or if you've been in work mode, this is time to put yourself out there, share yourself, certainly on social media, but also just, getting out in the world, being proud about who you are really, honestly, vulnerably, especially if you're someone who doesn't like to be on social media or be in groups, communities, going to, concerts, or I don't know, isn't necessarily especially social. Let yourself be seen. Yeah, we have also as your main theme the Fool card. And the Fool is about taking risks, taking chances, new beginnings, stretching outside of your comfort zone. So there is this element of, between these two cards here, suggesting that in some way sharing some part or trying something new. So take that as it resonates for you, Sagittarius. It's going to be different for different Sagittarians, right? I'm sure I have some viewers who are extroverted and some that are less so, right? So take it as it makes sense for you, but maybe it's about going back to school, taking a class, maybe it's about trying those dating apps, maybe it's about deciding to move or take a different job or joining an improv troupe, however it makes sense in your world. Trying something new, letting yourself stand out. There's also the element here of being sort of a newbie, or not being afraid to maybe make a mistake when you try something new, when you reach outside of your comfort zone and take a class or, try something new. You're bound to, maybe look like a newbie, and that's okay. So don't worry about, not being perfect when you try when you're learning a new skill or stretching your new muscles. What's interesting is all this fire in these sort of supporting cards here. The Four of Wands suggests there's some sort of win here. Did I say Four of Swords? I hope I said Four of Wands. This is a Four of Wands, obviously. And that always comes up with some sort of accomplishment or achievement in the party that follows. So some tarot readers read this as a wedding, but I always see this as this comes up for me as an achievement, like when you graduate a class, or you could even graduate, like I said, like an improv school or karate school or something, or even some other situation, some other level, and this could be that sort of achievement and the celebration that follows. It could be an engagement, it could be a wedding, but it could also be a product launch, or you launch your book, or you finish a marathon. In any case, this is usually an achievement that you've put some sort of effort into, that you get to celebrate with your family, your friends, your loved ones, maybe classmates, and then you're off to sort of the next thing. Following this party, reaching this level or whatever this milestone is, we see that you have some messages that come in, more invitations. Maybe following this graduation, there's, or this could also be like a promotion or something as well. You could be getting more interviews, or you could be getting more auditions or invitation to collaborate or something like that. But in any case, the Eight of Wands is typically opportunities coming in response to something else you've achieved or some efforts you have put into the world. And there's something it's something you're excited about. So you want to make sure you get these messages and you respond quickly. Sometimes they have a time limit, so you want to make sure that you respond and you're available and you're on your toes and ready to participate. Now, the Five of Wands can come up when you're taxed. That is to say, like, you have a lot in your schedule. You might have a lot of opportunities. There might be a lot going on near the end of the month. So you really want to make sure you're managing your schedule, managing your calendar, managing your emails and your DMs and everything your texts and everything that's coming in. But sometimes the Five of Wands can also indicate a time when coworkers are moody or grumpy or have an ego attachment to the way projects are being handled, or there's a leadership problem at work and management is not liking all of the job interviews you're going on or something like that. So there could be some friction at work, or this could also be within the family. There could be some ego friction, like if you're planning a wedding after the engagement party here, there could be some friction with your bridesmaids or something like that. Take it as it resonates for you, but usually there's some sort of a little bit of friction or chaos or scheduling issues with the Five of Swords. So you just want to make sure that you try to manage this gracefully, because there are some folks that are having some ego attachment to scheduling or color choices or something along those lines. But in any case, there's definitely a call for you to step out, be seen more, celebrate your achievements, be on top of your opportunities, and be sure to manage your schedule and your colleagues, co-workers, possibly siblings, with care. So I am going to leave it there, Sagittarius. Congratulations, good luck, and until next month, take very good care. Bye for now. Hello, Capricorn. Let's grab your rune. Berkana. This has come up a few times this month. And for your, oops, well, I guess this one is it. Ooh, Spider. That's your animal spirit message. Okay, and let's grab your tarot. Oof. Nice. Okay, that's okay. That one looks a little scary, but that's okay. We can deal with it. Not to worry. All right. So I did mention with your rune that this has come up a few times this month. Berkana. It's the rune of new beginnings. It's associated with birth and nurturing fresh starts, nurturing seedlings. And the reason why I think it's come up a few times for other signs as well is because we just had the spring equinox, and so traditionally the start of like the new year would be in spring with the spring equinox. And so this is like a fresh start. So if you're looking for a green light to start something new, like a creative project, or to get a fresh start somewhere else in your life, maybe with a creative project, or to start fresh somewhere else, maybe move, ask for a new role or a move to a new department at work, or change your major if you're a student in college, something like that. These are all ways that a Berkana might make sense for you. But I think for a lot of folks, it might be that creative project or taking on some kind of project, because the message from your animal spirit guide is along those lines. Spider is the message we have there, and the message on the card is trust the creative spark you're feeling and express it through writing stories that inspire and enlighten. So obviously not every Capricorn that is viewing this is a writer, but it can speak to creativity in all forms, whether it's writing, storytelling, imagination in other ways, whatever kind of crafty way that you express your creativity, crochet, obviously any sort of knitting or macrame would fit in with spider as well too. But any way you're feeling sort of creative or feeling a sense of individuality or inspired to express your wisdom is supported with this message. All right, moving on to your tarot. Now, let's not worry about this too much. The Five of Swords suggests a time when a miscommunication has happened and has caused some chaos, right? So that can happen when you don't thoroughly read an email, or it can be the kind of thing where someone leaves out some important information in a communication to you, or someone hasn't done their research and hasn't given you the full picture about something. Like maybe you depended on someone to do research about anything, This could be in any area of your life. It doesn't have to be your work life. It could be you depended on someone to get you information about real estate or banks or the guy you were going to start dating, or say, it could be anything, right? And it could be that some missing piece of information caused a little bit of chaos in your life. But once you kind of backtrack and find where that missing information or where that miscommunication or missed email or missed text or whatever, once you have a conversation or somebody apologizes or something, you can kind of put it to right and move forward. There's always a moment where the sort of, oh, that's what it was, following the Five of Swords, where you can kind of put things together. But there has to be the realization that the chaos was caused by missing information, a miscommunication, a missed communication. Sometimes it's as simple as someone didn't send the email or someone didn't read the email, something like that. You get what I'm saying, right? So if there is some misunderstanding, take it in stride and just be patient with others because someone has not communicated effectively. Now, it could be that it happens in a flurry of emails. The Eight of Wands suggests a time when there is a flurry of communication, a flurry of emails, or a flurry of texts, or a lot of back and forth. So that could be where a miscommunication happens. It could also be a technology issue because the Hierophant suggests an expert is needed. The Hierophant is an expert. He is doesn't have to be a he, but is a knowledgeable person. And so there's the sort of sense of needing to get an expert to maybe fix a computer system or upgrade a computer system or fix something in order to set this right. So don't be afraid if you need an upgrade or you need to get a professional or take it to IT or something like that. So there could be that piece too. But once things get cleared up, there is the expansion card. The Three of Wands suggests that sort of the shipping lanes open up and you're back to market. That's a metaphor. I know most Capricorns probably don't do a lot of shipping. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a terrific Etsy store or something. But this is, metaphorically speaking, you're back to business. Things get moving and flowing again. And kind of, this is a sort of a next level card. So once you get whatever this miscommunication or misunderstanding is cleared up, you kind of next level it. And so you get to an improved flow. You get things moving better than they were before. That's also what we have in the Hierophant. The Hierophant is associated with levels and degrees, kind of like with karate belts. You see the Hierophant has 1, 2, 3. These are associated with different higher degrees of knowledge and awareness. So you could have an up-leveling here in either your direct knowledge or in systems like computer systems or something like that. You could improve your either hardware, software, your own knowledge, and that improves kind of your capacity to meet demand. Now, like I said, even if you don't actually sell widgets or ship widgets or whatever, even if you're like a songwriter, whatever you do over here to clear up the chaos and redress any communication issues, there's sort of an up leveling, and maybe you get your next gig out of this after clearing up the confusion. So, new beginnings, nurturing fresh starts, nurturing a new project, clearing up miscommunications, opportunities and communications come in, but maybe at a very quick pace. There could be some technical glitch or some miscommunication from somebody else, or a technical issue. But once you get it cleared up, there is an up-leveling. And trust your creative spark. There it is, Capricorn. I'm going to leave it there for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next month, please take very good care of yourself. Bye for now. Hi, Aquarius. Let's grab your rune. Othala. Oops. And your animal spirit message. Ooh, this one is cool. Hawaiian owl. And your tarot. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so your oracle cards are so related. Othala is like the legacy rune, right? This is like what you get from your family, this is like your heritage, right? It can be items like what you might get in a will, stuff, goods, like the necklace. Your Nana might leave you a necklace in her will when she passes. Or it could be family traits like being stubborn, or getting red hair, or heart disease, or alcoholism. You know, there can be good and bad things, right? Sometimes we also get like the family restaurant passed down, or I got my grandpa's brother's car when I was old enough to start driving. You know, little things. Sometimes we get big things, sometimes we get little things, sometimes we get cool things, sometimes we get not so cool things. So all those themes are associated with family legacies, right? And sometimes it's, you know, conscious stuff. Sometimes it's stuff we're thinking about in terms of legacy, like, have I done enough career-wise? Do I want to, have I made a name for myself? Have I made my father proud? Have I made my kids proud? You know, sometimes it's kind of existential stuff like that we associate with legacies. So legacy can be different things for different Aquarians, depending on where you are in your life trajectory, right? And so how it's playing out for you might be different for another Aquarian. But those are some of the themes that come up with Othala. Interestingly, Hawaiian owl is about your ancestral spirit guides offering you guidance. the message on the card suggests that ancestral spirit guides are offering you guidance now, so pay close attention to signs and omens from them. And this came up for another sign tonight, and I can't remember which one, but I shared that, my sister passed away a couple years ago, and she had cancer. And so we had talked about ways she might come through if, to show that she was visiting. And she had suggested maybe a dragonfly. And so now anytime I see a dragonfly, whether it's the actual dragonfly or if it's like a dragonfly just on, embroidered on somebody's purse, like I take that as a sign from her, right? My grandmother had a very specific fragrance that she used to wear, and anytime I smell that fragrance, it feels like a visitation from her. So you might be experiencing a sign of like an animal that one of your loved ones on the other side is especially tied to, or a scent or something like that. And it might be a way of them saying hello, or they might have a message for you. Like the car that I told you that my grandfather's brother gave us is a very specific old car. So I have very specific memories of that car. So if I see a car like that, that has a very specific sort of message for me. So I'm just sharing that, there may be something similar for you. And it's interesting that we have these two similar sorts of legacy, ancestral spirit messages for you. So take that as it resonates for you. Now, we have very powerful tarot cards here. Of your 4 cards that I have, 3 of them are major arcana cards. The Devil card is not our favorite card because it reminds us we have a weakness for something. The Devil card is like an addiction card. It reminds us that we may be making some poor choices that are keeping us small or bound to something, or in a lifestyle that we don't actually like, and there are better choices we can be making. Now don't worry, there are some other more positive cards over here, but you probably know yourself that there's something that you're doing, or maybe a person you're involved with that isn't healthy for you. And so the Devil is showing up to remind you that you want to make better choices, right? And maybe there's a family member on the other side who used to make similar poor choices that might be peeking through to remind you, please make better choices. So for example, my dad, who is on the other side, used to smoke, and he is the reason, his passing is the reason why I gave up smoking. It was one of my very bad habits, and so I'll leave that there. I still have plenty of other bad habits, but that just as a for instance. So whatever your bad habit, it could be something like not getting enough sleep. It could be smoking, drinking, shopping too much. It could be a relationship with a person who does not treat you right. It could be pining for a lifestyle that is outside of your means, or, take it as it resonates for you. But whatever it is something that is keeping you stuck, and keeping you from being successful. The Devil shows up when we are making repetitive choices that are not allowing us to make bigger, healthier choices. All right, I'm going to, you get it, right? So let's move on to some of these happier cards. The Chariot suggests, outside of the Devil, which you know there's a health matter that you need to attend to, but outside of that, there is something else, another matter that you can succeed at. Maybe it's a job interview, maybe it's a creative project. You'll know what it is when it comes through, but a green light comes through in some other area. This thing needs work, but a green light comes through in some other area. And it feels like it could be a creative project or a job because it's very likely associated with this King of Wands. The King of Wands is likely to be a boss, a mentor, a theater director, a band director. This could even be a coach, but somebody that has advice for you, a job connect, something to offer you that leads you to this place of victory, this job or this creative project, this moment in the spotlight. And Aquarius, these good things are happening despite the fact that you are still not making all of the healthiest choices. So I just want to say this real quick because I'm going to share this and I don't want to belabor this too much because I don't want anyone to feel any shame. I live in LA and I've done tarot readings. I used to do tarot parties for money. I did a birthday party one time and I did a tarot reading for somebody that was at a party, and this person was a musician who had a decades-long heroin habit. And the Devil card had come up for this person, and I did the same thing where I didn't know to start this reading that this guy was into heroin, but I was explaining that the Devil card indicates that there's an addiction here that is not very healthy. Same stuff that I told you, but I said, but there's some other things going on in your life. There's some other successes because this person was very successful. And what he heard was that the heroin addiction was okay because clearly he was successful in these other ways. And that's not what I was trying to say. I was trying to say that the Devil card indicates this is not healthy for you, despite the fact that you have these other successes. So I just want to clarify. Heroin is not healthy, or the Devil card indicates that there is an issue that is not healthy. Even if you are having successes in other areas, it is happening sort of in this underground secret way that is still not healthy, even if you are able to manage in these and be successful in these other ways and maintain relationships and even be in the spotlight. There is still a thing that is not healthy and that is causing harm to you. Okay. That said, your ancestors love you and you're creating a legacy. And there's some up-leveling this month, and your mentor or your boss or your coach has something for you. And there's a moment in the spotlight or a moment in the sun. But you should really do something about this. Okay, Aquarius. I hope that's helpful. I'm going to leave it there for you. Until next time, take very good care. Bye for now. Hi, Pisces. Let's grab your rune. Dagaz, did you get this last month? I can't remember. I think you might have gotten that last month. Okay, and your animal spirit guide message. 1, 2, 3. Snow leopard. Oh, wow. Okay, let's get your tarot. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Okay. So, wow, your oracle cards are echoed in your tarot. Love when that happens. Okay, so Dagaz, breakthrough. Love it. It's like something you have been energetically working for, ready for, manifesting. Here it is. It's time. You have the strength for it. You have the mojo for it. You have manifested this, and here we are. It's your time in the spotlight, the sun, and of course, this is echoed over here in the star in your tarot, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, we'll get to snow leopard, which is your animal spirit message here. Take some time out of your usual life and spend it in solitude. So this isn't about like being a hermit on the mountaintop, forever. It's just finding a little time for self-care, finding a little time for meditation, and however that looks to you, right? For different Pisces, this will be a little bit different. Maybe it's a spa day. Maybe it's a yoga retreat. Maybe it's a spiritual moment, giving yourself a tarot reading, something like that. But it's also themes tied with the snow leopard, being that it's a cat. We've got themes of confidence, self-reliance, stealth, and perseverance. So all of those things come with the animal message, the animal qualities with the cat here. And then we have, more cat qualities over here in the strength card. This is your major theme for April. Again, strength is about charmed confidence. I always think about this card as being able to stand up for yourself or sort of display yourself, show your best qualities, like give an interview or defend your thesis. It's kind of like being a Karen without being a Karen, you know what I mean? It's auditioning, interviewing with confidence and charm, knowing you have the goods, knowing you have the right to take up space, the right to the job, or the right to stake a claim, whatever the scenario or situation might be, whether you're fighting for yourself or your kids or your community, whatever, whatever the scenario is. The Strength card is about that very special, regal confidence. Now we have the Nine of Wands in sort of your supporting cast of characters here. The Nine of Wands suggests there might be a lot going on in April for you. You might actually have too many obligations, and you might have to say no to some folks or put some stuff on the back burner in order to focus on your main priorities. It could even be a health thing if you're recovering from some health issue, or it could even be, along with the snow leopard message here, taking some time out of your usual life and spend it in solitude. This can also be about setting some boundaries, setting some time aside for like a spa day, a yoga retreat, something like that, just to reset, sort of reboot, something along those lines. The Nine of Wands often comes when we are nearing the end of a journey, nearing the end of a tricky project launch, or nearing the end of like a tough cycle, when we're feeling close to burnout and it's feeling difficult. Sometimes there even are physical manifestations of burnout. So that could even be why this is showing up for some of you. So if you need to take a time out, take a spa day, or take a spring break, this is spring break for some folks, could be something along those lines, or definitely set some boundaries or narrow your focus and maybe put some obligations or former obligations on the back burner, or clear your schedule to just focus on your biggest priorities for now. The Star card indicates winning a big project, or maybe a promotion, an opportunity comes along, and that could be, again, why you have to put some other things on the back burner. Something comes along that you're going to be very excited about. It could be a dream job or a dream project, something along those lines. And the Two of Wands indicates sort of a planning cycle, when you see that sort of some of your goals are being checked off the to-do list, and revising plans as you're checking things off the to-do list. There's an element of sort of planning your world domination in just the most benevolent way with this card here. We see our central figure has a little globe. She's planting seeds. No matter your sort of gender, it doesn't matter. She's planting seeds. She's got this healthy garden. She's got a magic wand, and she's sort of in an active pose, right? She's ready for action. She's ready for movement. So there will be time, like later in the month, to maybe pick up anything you had to put on the back burner for this special project, maybe to take on more projects or whatever applies in your world, Pisces. But it looks like you might have to make room for something else and sort of reschedule your world domination or your world takeover. However, this is the breakthrough you have been waiting for, you have been manifesting, the thing you have been working for. and you're ready. So walk tall, walk in your regal confidence. Even if it feels like you've been working really hard, this is the last mile or the last, phase of the project, and this is the thing you've been waiting for. So enjoy. Congratulations, Pisces. I think you're going to be really proud of yourself by month's end. And it's going to lead to more later in the spring and in months to come. So there we have it, Pisces. I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, please take very good care of yourself. Bye for now.